Perfect. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome back to Michael's Community Classroom. For those of you who have been with us before, and for those of you who have not, my name is Allie. I'm from Yarnspirations, and I will be helping to moderate today's class. We are here with the fantastic Marley Bird and have a really fun summer pattern for the crochet swirl bucket hat. I don't know about you, but we've been seeing bucket hats everywhere this summer. So really excited for this one. Just as a reminder, if you do have any questions throughout today's class, please feel free to drop them in the chat and I'll be helping Marley answer those questions throughout the class. Perfect.
Awesome. Hello, everybody, and hi. As Allie said, my name is Marley Bird, and we are going to make this fun bucket hat. I would try it on, but I look terrible in these hats. Like, I don't know what it is. I look terrible, but she's absolutely right. I have seen them everywhere, from walking the malls or walking different craft shows. Like, they are just everywhere. And all of the teenagers in my life have asked me if I could make them one. So this is a really good way for us to get started. And what's really great is we get to play along and do some colors with this. So we're going to use the tapestry crochet technique, where you carry your yarn along each round, so that way you're not cutting your yarn each time you change colors. We're going to carry it and change colors when it's time, when the pattern tells us to create this fun hat. Now, this is a free pattern available at yarnspirations.com. I also think it's at Michael's. They have provided a link in the chat, so I'm sure you could get your pattern right there. I do have mine all printed out, and we are going to take a look at some of the corrections that Mikey from the Crochet Crowd and I both have identified as little fixes, which will be great. And what's handy about taking this class with me is I will be able to help you out if you're like, mine's a little big, mine's a little small. How do I make little changes? I can help you with that, no problem. So if you have your pattern, you have your yarn, we're going to use Lily Sugar and Cream today in 2 different colors, but really you could make this in anything you want. It just happens to be that a good cotton yarn is a nice thing to make these hats with. So we're going to use the Lily Sugar and Cream. I have a size H crochet hook. This is just a Susan Bates hook with a handle, because my hands start to cramp up if I don't have a handle on it. So I have to have a handle, and we're going to jump in. So let's go ahead and take a look down here at my hands. And here we are. So we have this lovely hat. You can see here that it's a pretty basic hat. We're going to start right up here at the top, work in the round. At the point where we want to start creating the sides of our hat, we will work in the back loop only to create this little ridge there. It helps the turn from the circle into kind of something more flat against our head. You work just basic 6 double crochet rounds without any increases. And then you do some rapid increases to get this slight brim ruffly effect. It's really quite easy to do. The trickiest thing, I think, is getting started here and then managing the yarn as we're going around and getting the colors to change, but it works up pretty easily. Okay. So as far as the pattern goes here, first thing I want you to take note of is the gauge. So what they have written here are 13 double crochets and 4 rows. I want you to cross out 4 rows, and I want you to write 8 rounds, because it's actually 8 rounds equals 4 inches. Okay. And that's going to be important for you if you're trying to achieve gauge. If you're just like, you know what, I just want to kind of work this and make sure that it fits, then you're not going to worry too much about gauge. You're just going to keep measuring against your head as you go along until the top part's as wide as you want it. Then you just do this, and then you'll just do a basic ruffle brim. It's pretty darn easy. It's not rocket science. And then, as I mentioned, we are going to do the tapestry crochet technique. We will carry the yarn loosely. We will chain 3 at the beginning of the rounds, and that counts as a double crochet. So our chain 3 at the beginning of the round is going to count as a double crochet. We work from the top down, and we join all the rounds with a slip stitch to the top of the chain 3, which means if you've taken any of my classes, get yourself a stitch marker. We can always mark that chain 3 so we know exactly where to join. All right. Not too difficult so far, right? She looks super cute in the hat. I do not. I don't know what it is. I cannot rock one of these. How about you guys in the chat? Do you guys have bucket hats? Are you like, yes, it looks great on me? Or are you just like, I'm making it for my granddaughter or my grandson? Because that's usually the case. Like I cannot rock one of these. But hey, it's good. Oh, the other thing, I'm sorry. I turned the page before I was supposed to. Right here at the top, this is where we're going to start. And it says with color A and it just says 4. We are going to put a CH right there. I should say chain 4. So we're going to chain 4 with our color A. Color A is our hot pink. And then we're going to join with a slip stitch to form a ring. And then we're going to carry on and just do these instructions. So I'm going to kind of set this aside right there. Grab my color A, which is, I'm going to use this pink. And I'm using this really handy like yarn caddy thing today so that I can pull a yarn from the outside. You can pull the yarn from the outside or the inside. It's up to you. If I can find the end, there it is. And so what makes it easy to do is I just slide that on my yarn caddy. So when I pull from the outside, it just pulls it right around. It makes it super easy. Only reason I'm mentioning it to you is it makes a noise. Can you hear that? So I don't want you to be like, what is that noise? I want you to know exactly what it is. Now I did that and now I've lost my hook. There it is. These things like to hide from us, you know. Okay, we're going to take the tail of our yarn, put it in the palm of your hand and create a slip knot. I'm assuming you already know how to make a slip knot if you're in this class. So I'm not going to belabor the issue. Go ahead and get that slip knot on your hook and we're going to chain 4. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. It says join with the slip stitch to the first chain to form a ring. So I'm going to come over here to the first chain, put my hook right inside of it, yarn over, pull through that first chain, and then pull through the loop on my hook. So what I've done here is I've created a ring. This is going to be the top of my hat. This is the start of my hat. What we will do now is we'll chain 3, and then we're going to do 9 double crochets all into this ring, and then join to the top of our chain 3, still with our color A. So I'm going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm going to grab my stitch marker here. You don't have to use this, but it's handy. In that V behind the loop on my hook, so the V right there behind the loop on my hook, I'm going to place that stitch marker. The reason I'm putting it there is it lets me know that that is where I will join with my slip stitch at the end of my round. So it's just like a big clue of, hey, that's the start of your round. And when you come back to me, make sure you join your yarn right there. Now we'll just do basic double crochets all into this ring. We aren't going to go into any particular chain stitch. We're just going to go right into the ring. So we'll yarn over our hook, go into this ring. So I like to use my middle finger here on my opposite hand and kind of put my middle finger sort of like it's right there in the middle of the ring. So I can take my hook and like hit my middle finger to push it through, yarn over my hook, and then pull that yarn over back through that ring. So I have 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. Now I am going to tell you guys, as you're making this hat, you do want your stitches to be more snug versus looser. So if you find the H hook is getting your gauge too big, you can always go down hook size, okay? And the reason I'm mentioning that is, one, I find it difficult to get tighter stitches with the Lily Sugar and Cream if I don't go down several hook sizes, and you might be the same. But I'm going to continue with this hook because it's a really good contrast against that pink. But if you find that your stitches are just getting way too big, it's okay to go down, a hook size or 2 to make the stitches work for you. All right, we're going to do this double crochet again. So we yarn over our hook, go into that ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, draw through 2 loops on your hook. So that was 2. We need a total of 9 of those. So let's just keep doing. Yarn over, go into the ring, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2, yarn over, draw through 2. It's 3, I'm just going to keep going here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. Now we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first chain 3 right there. So it's where my marker is. See how handy that marker is? So what I can do is I can come up here. I can take my marker out because I know exactly where that stitch is now. I go right into that chain where I had my marker. Okay. Go into the chain. Yarn over, pull your hook through the chain. Now pull the hook through the loop that was on your hook. And the pattern tells you you have 10 double crochets, which you're like, well, Marley, you just said I'm supposed to do 9. But remember at the beginning, I told you that the initial chain 3 counted as 1. So because that counts as 1 and we just did 9 more, we should have 10 double crochets. You can take a minute and count that right now, because if you're off, you want to know right now, right? So remember that first chain 3 is 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we have 10 double crochets. Okay. Now it tells us round 2 with color A. So we're still using color A. We're going to chain 3. We'll put our marker into that third chain. Then it says 1 double crochet in the same space as our slip stitch. Then we're going to use color B, and we're going to do 2 double crochets in the next double crochet. Then it says with color A, we'll do 2 double crochets in the next double crochet, and we'll repeat all the way around. Now, what's important here is that when we transfer from one color to the next, we have to pull our yarn through the stitch right before we have to use that color on a new stitch. So this is how you change colors in crochet. If you've never done it before, this is, pretty handy information that I'm getting ready to share with you. So I'm going to get my next color ready to go here. So we'll start off. First, we're not turning our work. Okay, we're not turning our work. We're keeping the right side of our work facing us. I'm not concerned about the hole right there because I can use the tail to go back and weave that closed. So I'm not concerned about a bigger hole right there at the top of my hat. I'm going to chain 3, 2, and 3. Again, I'll take my marker. I'll put it into that. It's the third chain I did. So it's the V behind the loop on my hook. And now I'm going to put 1 double crochet into the same chain that I did right there. But I'm also going to change colors before I complete that double crochet. Let me show you what I mean. So I yarn over my hook. Let me move that a little bit. I'm going to go into the same chain, not that space. Okay. Even though it might look like you have a big old gaping space there, go into the same chain, yarn over, pull up a loop. Excuse me. So you're going to have 3 loops on your hook. You're going to go yarn over your hook and pull through 2 of those. Now we're going to drop your color A, pick up your color B, and leave yourself a little tail so you can tuck that in. Yarn over your hook and pull through the 2 loops on your hook with your new color. What that does is it completes the color you were using. So the post of the stitch does not have any bleed through of the new color. Excuse me. But the loop on your hook is your new color. So when you go to complete your next stitch, the top of the stitch, the part that's that V, is going to match the post of your stitch. Okay. So now we have our new color on there. So what we're going to do, because we're doing the tapestry crochet technique, take the pink or your color A that you're not using right now, lightly rest it on top of your stitches. And what we're going to do is when we go into this next stitch here, I'm going to go into the stitch. Okay. When you go into that stitch, you're not only going to work around that stitch, you're also going to work around, excuse me, I have a tickle in my throat. You're going to work around that yarn also. Okay. And then when it's time to change colors, it'll be ready for you to go. I need to take a sip of water real quick while I'm doing that. Allie, are there any questions so far?
Let me see. I don't see any questions right at the moment, but
So sorry, guys. I have a terrible tickle in my throat. Okay. All right, good. So far, so good.
So far, so good.
So far, so good. Okay. So I have the pink resting there. I'm going to grab my green. Remember, we're doing a double crochet. So I'm going to yarn over my hook. I'm going to go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. And I'm going to be doing 2 double crochets here. So I'll do the first one just like normal. So there's 1. Now I have to do the next one. So I yarn over my hook, go into the same stitch, insert it. See how my pink yarn is still resting right there? Yarn over my hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, draw through 2. I'll drop my green, pick up my pink, yarn over my hook with my pink, and pull through 2. So now my green is going to rest on top of that there. Now somebody might be saying, well, why didn't you tuck that in? You guys don't know me. I don't crochet over my tails. I hate it. I think it's the worst thing ever. So I will end up tucking this in. That's why I don't just crochet over top of it, because if I'm going to put all this work into this, I don't want it to come undone. So I'll just tuck that in later. But now I continue on. I'm going to put 2 double crochets here. Essentially, I'm increasing my circle by 2. So if I have 10, I'm going to have 20 double crochets by the end of this round. So I'll yarn over with my pink now, go to the next double crochet, make sure I'm going into the stitch and working around my green, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through 2, yarn over, go through 2. So there's the first one. And then when I do the second one, remember to change colors on your second draw through. So you'll drop the pink, pick up the green or whatever color you're using, and then carry on. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing this all the way around. Again, as you're working on your hat, try and keep your stitches as consistent in size as possible. It is a little tricky with this yarn, I'm not going to lie. So if you are struggling with it at all, if your stitches are getting really sort of loosey-goosey and floppy, you probably aren't going to be happy with your hat. So I suggest going down a hook size and then being very cautious of when you're pulling up those stitches. Make sure the stitches are the same size as your hook. So that way, as you yarn over and pull through 2, and then you yarn over and pull through 2, notice I grab the post of my stitch as I'm working. So I don't allow those to extend. I keep them all the same size. So it helps my stitches really stay nice and uniform. And then I'll drop the pink, pick up my green, and then just keep going. So if you've ever made a crochet hat before, this is pretty common knowledge of what we're doing as far as we're just increasing, right? This might be new with changing colors like this for you, and it's something different, and it's really fun to do. And you could do it really for anything. You could just continue on doing this for like a baby hat. You could do anything you want. But for the top of the hat, we're essentially just going to increase like you would any other hat, where you start off with a set number of stitches. And then the next round, you increase in each of those stitches. And then the following round, you'll increase in every other stitch. And then the following round, you'll increase in every, like, it'll take, not every other, but it'll be like 2 plain ones and then an increase in the next one. So you just keep working your rounds like that so you can get a nice flat circle. And that's really that's the top of the hat. That's what the top of the hat is, until the hat is as big as you want it to be for the top of your head. And then what you'll do is you continue working in double crochets, only you stop working your increases. So you would just do double crochets in all the stitches that you've completed. And the way this particular hat is worked is that it does 1 round where you work just in the back loop only to get that nice little sort of turned edge. You don't have to do that, but you can. And then you just continue on until you get a hat that fits, you know, about as long as you want it to be. You want to make sure it doesn't go down to cover your eyes, because once you do the brim, it really will cover your eyes. Then you'll look like that character. Oh gosh, there was a cartoon character that always had his hat down over his eyes. Like I'm drawing a blank. But anyways, you'll look like that. So if that's the look you're going for, great. You know, hey, you know how to do it. But if not, you want to make sure that the brim part isn't going to flop down into your eyes. And I think, did I do this right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Yep. So I'm in the last here. So I've changed colors. I'm going to join with a slip stitch to my first one. And I don't know if I was supposed to change colors on that last one or not. Yeah, it looks like I was. I mean, it doesn't tell me that I wasn't supposed to. So anyways, that's where we are so far. Everybody else look like that so far? Looks like it.
I think so.
All right, good.
Patty here is looking for a close-up.
A close-up of this piece or the
Yep.
original?
And let us know if you are looking for a close-up of the full hat, everyone. Perfect.
Somebody says the character I was thinking of is Mushmouth. Somebody says there's one from Fat Albert. Is that the same one? I don't remember. I just remember there was some character whose hat was always over his eyes. So that's the back, if you guys are wondering what the back looks like. And that's the front. That's the right side. I mean, it looks pretty cool, right? And there's so many things you could do with this. And really, we could have started off down here at the beginning with both colors, but you know, that's not the way the pattern is written. However, so there's that. And I'll show you it on the sample too, so you can see. It's kind of hard to see with the orange and pink. That's why they have me using the pink and the green. But you can see here, so it's 2 and 2 and 2 and 2 and 2. On the next round, you're going to have like, so we have 2 orange, we'll have 3 orange, 3 pink, 3 orange, 3 pink, 3 orange, 3 pink. And the following 4 orange, 4 pink, 4 orange, 4 pink. So we just keep increasing out until finally we have 2, 4, 6 orange, 2, 4, 6, 7 pink, 2, 4, 6, 7 orange. Oh, maybe I just didn't count right. 7, looks like 7 all the way around. 2, 4, 6, 7, yeah, 7. So 7 orange and 7 pink. And then that just continues on where you don't increase anymore. It just keeps flat. So that's where it would be just flat along your head. And then down here, once you've done these increases, you'll know how to do this because it's the same thing. It's just putting 2 stitches into one. And it's just a matter of how often you do that to get that increase. So like here they have 2 stitches and then 1 stitch and then 2 stitches and then 1 stitch, 2 stitches and then 1. So that gives you the rapid increase, which makes it ruffle. That's why these ones down here, they don't ruffle and ripple because you're doing a very natural increase. Down here, you're doing a more rapid increase, which is what makes the nice sort of the ruffle of the brim because you're doing an increase more often than you're doing down here. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. How am I doing on time? I'm doing pretty good. All right, so I'm going to do another round of just working those increases. Okay, let's do a whole round of increases. Then I'm going to do a round of the back loop only. So I'm not making a full hat here. I'm just going to do like a little mini hat so you can kind of see how this is worked. But the good news is so far what we've done is enough for you to understand how to make the whole hat. Like you could carry on and make the whole hat at this point, like for real. All right, so with color A, so I was supposed to change colors at that end, which is good. So color A, I'm going to grab my marker back here. I'm going to chain 3. So 1, 2, and 3. Put my marker in the third one. And then it says 1 double crochet in the same space as the slip stitch. Well, that I put it into my chain, so I'm going to put it directly into my chain. I don't like going into the space because if you go into the space, you're going to get a big old gaping hole. Who wants a hole in their hat? I mean, I don't. So I'm going to put one here. So that gives me my 2. And then when I go to my next one here, this is where I'm going to end up changing colors. So I'm going to put 1 double crochet here, but before I complete it, I need to change colors. Now, anybody else see what I did wrong here? When I completed these 2, I forgot to carry this behind it. So I got to rip those out and do that again because I wasn't thinking. So I'm going to grab my green here. There we go. So do this all one more time. Make sure when you go into that chain where you did your slip stitch, you also have your green carried up. I can get my hook in there. There's 1 double. So this would be the 1 double in the next stitch. Drop my pink, grab my green. And carry on. So the next, I'm going to put 2 stitches into that one and then 1 into that one. And when I do the 1 into that one, I'm going to change colors. So I'll put 2 into this one, make sure I have the pink going across. Here's 1 and 2. And I go to the next one over. And before I finish it, I'm going to change the color. I'm just going to keep going here. I'm curious what colors all of you are working with today, because there are so many beautiful, vibrant colors out there right now. And if you guys follow along with me ever, like I joke around and say my favorite color is rainbow because I love all the colors and I really do love rainbows, like really love rainbows. I always, ever since Rainbow Bright, I used to do rainbow everything. Like I just love rainbows, but I love all the colors, which is funny because I wear a lot of black, but when I go to the yarn store to buy yarn, I'm buying all the colors. Like the brighter, the better. I very seldom purchase any blacks or grays or browns. I'm always buying pinks and blues and purples and greens and yellows and oranges, like always, always. So I'm curious what colors all of you are using out there. And
We
then
have some good combos.
I was going to ask you if you could tell me because I can't read them while I'm crocheting along here.
We have pink and white, royal purple and purple, blue mint and robin's egg, purple and blue. I saw some earlier that there were a few doing in the same colors as the pattern showed. So the pink and orange, yellow and tangerine. Ooh, that's really fun.
That is pretty. Oh, I did it again. Look, guys, I always forget to carry along like the tapestry part. I'm just like, oh, darn it. I'll go to reach for it. I'm like, shoot. I hate when I do that. So I'm curious, for those of you that are making these, did you choose your colors to like match your swimsuit, match maybe your favorite outfit? Like maybe are you getting ready for 4th of July and you want to wear it out to maybe a concert or something? Like, because that's totally what I would do. I'd be like, I'm going to wear this outfit, so I need to pick these colors. And on a side note, you can see that, we have like 5 pink and then 5 of the green. So in theory, you could have 10 different colors going here. You could pick all 10 colors available to you and you could have one big crazy hat. Like you don't have to be restricted with just 2. Whoops. I think as you're going along here, it becomes easier to remember to change colors because we've established the color changes already. So you can be like, oh, I'm getting ready to work into the green, so I need to make sure I'm using the green, or I'm getting ready to work in the pink. I need to make sure I change colors to the pink. You know what I mean? Like it becomes easier once you establish that color change, I think. For sure. Anybody else finding that to be the case? I think you guys are too. Cool.
A question here. They want to know if each of your yarns is on a separate spool.
Yes, they are actually here. So let's see, I have each one on 2 different ones. And don't ask me where I got them, guys, because I honestly don't know. I actually mentioned that to Allie at the start. I'm like, I don't remember where I got these. I just know that they're so handy when I pull from the outside. And I knew I wanted to pull from the outside on these. I like to pull from the outside when I'm using this yarn. So I was like, I'm just going to use this. So yeah, they're on 2 different spools. You could use like, you have a toilet paper dispenser thing, you know, like that rolls around, like that would work very easily too. Like it's just, I don't know. I like them. They're very handy. Very, very handy. I also will use yarn bowls and stuff too, which I know that they have available at Michael's. So you can always check that out. All right, so I'm at the end of my round. I'm going to join with my slip stitch. And we can see here, my hat's looking pretty good. Now, I'm not stressing too much about my sort of bigger gaps that I have. Remember, I told you if I were making the hat on my own, I probably would go down a hook size. But also, I can always use my tail here that I have, like my pink tail or my green tail, to close up any of these gaps. So I'm not worried too much about it. But you can see it's starting off pretty darn awesome, right? Okay. So for this hat, you would continue on working in that manner, working those increases. Like let's take a peek here at the pattern here. So right here, we have the chain 3 and then 1 double crochet in the same stitch, right? And then it says with the next color, this actually should say color B right here. That should say B. It says A, but that should say B, right? You guys see that? Because we started with A, we did a slip stitch, 1 double crochet, the next double crochet. Then it says it should say with B, 2 double crochets, the next double, and then 1 double crochet in the next, and then back to A. So looks like you do your increase at the start. And then right here, we do the increase again. And then with B, we do 2 double crochets again, and then 1 double crochet in the next 2. So whenever you're working in these rounds, you'll do your increase and then a standalone, and then a standalone, a standalone, and then an increase at the color change, standalone, increase, standalone, blah, blah, blah. Does that am I making sense with that? So every time you change colors, you're doing your increase at the start of that, okay? At the start there. Now, we do that right here, round 7, also chain 3, 1 double crochet in the same space, and then 2. So by the time you get 70 double crochets, right? 70 double crochets total. That's when we're going to work on the side. Now, round 1, that's when we will do a double crochet in the back loop of each of the stitches. Notice here that it's not chain 3 and then 1 double crochet in the same space and then slip stitch, right? So we're no longer increasing. We are just going to work all the way around without changing our stitch count, but we're going to work through the back loop only. Okay, so we'll still be changing colors whenever it's time to change colors, but we're going to work through the back loop only, which means if I just don't pay attention to how many stitches they're telling me here, I can go ahead and pretend that this is the top of my hat and I'm going to work the sides. So we're going to do just that. We're going to work this round as if this were your round 1 of your sides. We're just going to work through the back loop only and change colors when it's time to change colors. Does that make sense? Then round 2, it says with color A, working in both loops, chain 3, 1 double crochet in the next 4 double with B, 1 double in each of the next 7 with A, 1 double crochet in each of the next 7, so on and so forth. So it begins to just kind of shift everything along. So we're going to look at this real quick. So what happens is, to make it so that the swirl kind of swirls, they have you shifting over one. So see how on this, every time we changed colors, we were always working into the same color. So pink was in pink, was in pink, was in pink. But up here, as you get to the body, what happens is it makes it so that way the color shifts over by one. Can you see how that pink right there is worked into that orange? And that pink is worked into that orange, and that pink is worked into that orange. That's what gives you the swirl. So the stitches haven't changed as far as the stitch count, right? So they still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 double crochets, but they shifted where the color starts and ends. So that way you get this swirl look. And we have 7 double crochets there. Same thing up here on your final round of increases, you have 7 double crochets. So remember when I said on that first side round, you aren't increasing anymore. You simply are doing your double crochets through the back loop only. And it's on this first round that they begin that shift. Can you see that? See where the pink is worked right there into the orange, and then they make it so that the orange right there is worked right there into the last pink. So they begin the shift right here at this start. And then when they get down here to this bit, you can see they have an increase right here into this pink. And then the next one, they have an orange. Let's see here. Nope. This is the start of the round. So let's peek over here. So they have this one shifts over, but then it no longer shifts anymore. They make it so that way the orange is on an orange, the orange is on an orange, the orange is on an orange. So it's no longer shifting. They make it so that it kind of swirls back the other way just by making it not shift anymore. I don't know how to explain that any better than that. This naturally looks like a swirl because of the increases that you're creating. That's what creates this swirl here. It's because of the increases. We continue that swirl look down here by literally moving the color over one stitch. Okay, so you move the color over one stitch to create the swirl here. When you get down here, we're no longer continuing like making this swirl because we have these increases happening and it's just adjusting things. So we're working along. Now, having said all of this, if you're like, you know what, I'm digging how this looks. This is cool and all, but maybe I don't want to shift my colors over. I just want to continue on doing it. Maybe I want to get like a stripe looking effect. You can absolutely do that. You don't have to shift your colors over, but you can. All right. So let's work this bit here. Am I making sense here? I'm trying to see. Good. Lou says it makes sense to her or him. I'm not sure, but that works. So on this one, they have you start with a chain 3 with your color A. So we're gonna do that. Okay. I'm gonna pretend that this is the first round of the side. So I'm gonna chain 3 with my color A. 1, 2, and 3. Put my stitch marker in. I don't know why I took my hook out. I didn't need to do that. Okay. And then it says 1 double crochet back loop only in the next 5. So if I were doing that in the next 5 and we had 7, that makes it so that way the color B would start right here, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back loop only into this one. And then I'm going to change colors so that way my green will start to shift over here. Okay. So we're going to maintain 3 stitches for this instead of the 7, like what would be on your actual hat. So I'm going to yarn over my hook. I'm not going to go into the same stitch I joined with. I'm going to go into the next stitch over and do my double crochet. Oops, oops, oops. I got to make sure I carry this up. Do my double crochet. But I'm going to change color on this stitch. So essentially, the last color of my color block of my other color will now be the first color of my next color block. Does that make sense? And I'm not, oh, gosh darn it. I need to work through the back loop only. I'm so like stuck in just trying to make sure you understand what's going on. We need to work in the back loop only. I apologize, guys. Rewind. Yarn over. We're going to go into the back loop only. So if you're looking at the top here, you have this V. We're going to go to the back loop only. Make sure you have your other color there. Now we'll complete our double crochet. Change colors in the middle of it. Jeez. Come over here, back loop only. And we're going to do a total of 3 of the green, and we'll change colors on the last one. Again, I'm just working in back loop only. I'm going to change colors on this last one. So now the last color of my pink will be, or my green will be the first one of my pink. And by working back loop only, that's going to give us this little ridge here. Hope I'm making sense to everybody here. I wish I could make a full hat with you here in class, but it's just not possible. So this is the next best thing. And notice I'm not increasing. I'm maintaining my 3 stitches. Or if this were on your actual hat, you would maintain your 7 stitches of each color. Or more. Remember when I said if you wanted to make adjustments, like maybe yours has 8 stitches because that's the way it made it fit better, or maybe yours has 5 stitches because that's the way it made it fit better. Whatever it is, just maintain it. Just like I'm doing here with just 3 stitches, you do basically the same thing. The same thing. Make sense? So you can make these sort of adjustments on your own. So now this hat, is made for one size. If you are savvy enough to, adjust the top part and make these little changes like I am, you can make like a his and her size, a mommy and daughter, papa and daddy and son. There's all sorts of possibilities that open up once you understand how a pattern actually works, more so than just following it blindly. You can make all sorts of adjustments. And here is a little tip is usually how a lot of designers begin. They start to understand how designs start to work and function, and they start to make alterations. And then next thing you know, they're just creating their own pattern completely. And that's really where it all starts. So if the bug bites you, it's all right. You can go out there and be a designer yourself. No limits. There are no limits, no rules in crochet. And I know that I say, don't crochet over your ends, and that should be a rule. I stand by that, but there are technically no rules. My friends like to remind me of that. All right, so I'm going to be coming up to the end here. What you'll notice is that I think what will happen is, because we only did the 2 double crochets in the pink to start, we'll end with our pink with 1 double crochet at the end, and that will give us our set of 3, and it will continue our swirl here. So watch what happens as I change colors here. I'm in my last green, and I'm going to do my last pink, and I'll join with my slip stitch here at the start. I'm going to join in the back loop only. Oh no, I'm not, because I don't need to do that. The rest of it is just through both loops. But you can see, here's the top of my hat. Here's this nice little ridge, and because I started with 2 and I finished with the pink, I have that swirl starting. You see that? So what I would do now for the side of my hat, I would continue on just in this method. Every time it was like one color before the next color, just change colors. So you really don't have to look at the pattern much anymore. And it's at this point, you're really just making the hat to fit, right? They have it written where it's 6 rounds. If your gauge is different and you just want your hat to fit, you can just make those adjustments. Now, here's a trick here. So we're at the start here, right? It says chain 3, 1 double crochet in the next. So with color A, work in both loops, chain 3, 1 double crochet in each of the next 4 double crochet, blah, blah, blah. Well, because I have just 3 here, I have a chain 3 and my next one is literally my green, right? I have to do a green in the next one. So I've chained 2 and I'm going to have to somehow chain the third one. You won't have to do this. This won't happen on yours. It's happening on mine because I did just 3, but I'm going to just pull this up and then chain with my green. So that way, as I'm going to my next pink and I'm working through both loops now, I have green on here. Yours won't do that. I mean, unless you have adjusted your numbers and for some reason yours falls in this way, but now you know how to do it. If it should, you just carry it up. I mean, you understand how these stitches work now. You're just carrying them around, right? So you really don't have to look at the pattern anymore because we're just using double crochets. And if you've established your color changes correctly, just read your work. When it's time to change colors, your work will tell you when it's time. And you don't have to stress about it. Okay? Makes sense? See how it's starting to swirl around? Okay. How am I doing on time? All right, so I have about 10 minutes left. Let's take a peek at this real quick. Like I said, you do this, you're not increasing stitches, but we are shifting your colors over by 1 all the way, and they did it for 6 rounds. Then you get to your brim. So you'll see the brim, it says round 1 with color A, chain 3, 1 double crochet back loop in the same stitch as the slip stitch or whatever. Okay, so we're increasing again, right? We're increasing. And this time we're going to do, it's essentially, we're going to be putting 2 stitches in the back loop only. Well, one of them's your chain 3, so it already counts as a stitch, but you're working through the back loop only. Again, it's to give you this little lip, this little ridge of a piece there. It's a nice decorative feature, but it also makes it so that the brim flops appropriately. Okay, so that first round is worked in the back loop only. So you're going to do back loop only with A, then it's 1 double crochet back loop only the next double, and then 2 double crochet in the next one. And you do that twice. Okay, so that means you've done an extra right there. So that's 1. Then you've done an extra right there. That's 2. And then you do that twice. So you'll do between your parentheses. So that's 3. So we've just increased 3 stitches. Then it says 1 double crochet in the back loop only in the next one. And then with A, 1 double crochet in the back loop only, and then with B, 1 double crochet in the back loop only in the next double crochet. So this one in the parentheses here, it says with A, 1 double crochet back loop only, with B, 1 double crochet in the back loop only in the next double crochet. So that just means you're going to do 1 of your double crochets with A, 1 of your double crochets with B, but in the same stitch. Why would you have to do that? Well, this is the actual stitch right there. It's because, again, it's making the colors land where they need to be. Okay, so they're making it so that the colors land where they need them to be. So in this particular stitch right there, all it's having you do, look at this. Here's your chain 3. Here's your first double crochet in the back loop only. Then you have 1 double crochet in the back loop only, and then 2 of them. 1 of them, 2 of them, 1 of them. Then this is where it has parenthesis, do 1 of them in pink, 1 of them in orange. Then you have 1 and then 2 in 1. 1, 2 in 1. 1, 2 in 1. 1, 2 in 1. But this one, they're 2 of the same color. So don't get really lost in all of the words because it can get really confusing. Really, if you just, again, kind of watch what you're doing, follow along, and just maintain your color sequence. You can see here, they have 2 and 1 again, where it's half the pink, one's pink and one's orange. Over here, they have 2 pinks. Over here, one's pink and one's orange. Can you see what I mean? You're just changing colors. But like I said, you're doing those rapid increases. So down here, when we did round 3, where it was 2 and then 1, and then 2 and then 1, and then 2 and then 1, you're essentially doing that again. It's 2 and then 1, and then 2 and then 1, and then 2 and then 1. You're just changing colors. You see what I mean? You see where I was like, look, you know everything you need to know already, because you do. You're just doing those increases. The following rounds, I'm looking on the sample, it doesn't look like you do any increases. So if we look over here, round 2, working in both loops, 1 double crochet in each double crochet to 1 stitch before the color change, with B, 1 double crochet in each double crochet to 1 stitch to the color change. So this one does have you, you don't do any increases on round 2. Round 3, they have increases again. So round 3, they have 2 and then 1, and then 2 and then 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, and then 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, and 2. Like there's a lot of increases happening here. Like they're all over the place. Really, just think of it this way. The more increases you do, the floppy your hat's going to be. Like the more ripply it's going to be. Am I making sense to everybody? Yeah. It's hard to get a gist of what's going on. Iris shakes her head yes, so that makes me feel good. Okay, good. So I mean, the hardest part with the brim, I think, honestly, at least for me, it's understanding the words, right? It's going through the words, being like, when do you want me to change colors? It's literally, this is a very good thing. Continuing the pinwheel pattern, you just are going to work those increases, and they have them all written out for you. But honestly, guys, if you want to change up your increases, just kind of be like, I'm going to go rogue, because I want mine more ripply or less ripply. You can do that too. You can do whatever you want, but that's basically all it is. And then you have your 4th round where there's no increases, and then that's it. Like, so you know how to do these increases, you know how to do the color changes, you know everything you need to know. I think the last thing would be, how do I close up those ends? I want to show you that real quick. Am I good with that? If I jump to that with everybody?
Sounds good.
Okay, so I love using these bent tip tapestry needles, and I love the metal ones, you guys. I know that they have plastic ones out there, but the metal ones are the way to go, in my opinion. Take the starting colors. This would be my color A, and I just pinch it through that large eye, and I'm on the inside of the hat. So that's the outside. This is the inside. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, right here at the beginning, I'm going to circle around the ring that I started with. I'm just going to circle around it, and I'm going to pull it. And this is a really strong cotton yarn, so you should be able to pull really well. I'm just going to pull it closed. You see that? Now, it won't stay closed if I just stop right there. So this is where you need to go back and forth and secure where you've closed it. So I went in, I jump over one of my strands, and I'm going to go back the opposite way. And again, I keep pulling it snug each time, and I keep pulling it snug. I'm going to go in a couple, the opposite direction, and then I'll go back again the other way. Some people might be like, well, why don't you put a knot? Well, think about this. This is going on the top of your head. Do you want a knot at the top of your head? Like, seriously? You don't want a knot at the top of your head. That's not fun. All right. So once you get all that, see, that is not coming undone now. You see that? Like that's super secure. Before I cut this, I can take a peek and are there any other gaping holes around here that I want to like try and close up by doing the ends woven in a little bit more. Maybe I want to close this one up here up a little bit. I can kind of work my end up there to kind of essentially do the same thing, work to the bottom of my stitch, and then just kind of try and secure it up a little bit. Use those tails to help finish your work. And then I always come back. See why the metal is so important? Looks nice. And then I can take my scissors and just snip it and be done with that. I can take my green one where I started. This is the one where I told you I was not going to just crochet over my end. That's because I want to use this not only to secure up anything that looks like it might need to be fastened, but I want to make sure that that's nice and secured in there. It doesn't come undone. So what I'll do is I'll come over here and I'm just going to pop over here to where the color like ended, you know, on the other rounds. And I'm just going to kind of work up these rounds. I'm on the wrong side still, and I'm going through the bottom of the stitch. And then I kind of work my way up. I go into the bottom of the stitch again, like on the up a couple rows, then I come down. I'm really just weaving it in and out like a snake. And it's never coming to the right side of the fabric. It's all happening back here. And that's not going to come undone. So now, look at that. Top of my hat is perfection. Cool. How are we feeling? You guys want to go back to my head? My face? Hello. All right. So how many of you worked on yours? I want to see what yours looks like. Oh, that's nice, Dawn. Iris, that looks beautiful. Linda, that's gorgeous. Mary, I see you working on something. Do you got anything there? Look at you guys. That's awesome. Cindy, beautiful. Linda, Tina. Oh my gosh, you guys are doing great. I love that you're turning on your cameras to show me. That's so great. Susie, that's fantastic. Oh, that's so great. Oh my gosh, Grant, did you do that today? Oh my gosh, you guys, like it's almost completed. It's almost completed. Can you see in the gallery? Like it's almost totally done. Holy moly. Wow, that is so fantastic. That's so great. All right, so I feel like you guys are on a really good start here. Oh my gosh, Tina's is going awesome too. Hers is red and pink. Oh, it looks like a candy cane. That is so pretty. And yours is pretty too in the purples. Oh, you guys are doing awesome. Okay, so you're on a very good start. You see how this goes. I mean, once you understand how to do those increases, how to carry your yarn, and then just kind of really reading your work and going along. If you're off a little bit on your gauge, it's not that big of a deal because you just make it fit your head. Just make it fit your head and it'll be good to go. All right. So when you make all these hats, make sure you share with us on social media. And if you want to tag me at all, I'm hashtag #MarleyBird. Yarnspirations has hashtag Yarnspo or hashtag Make It With Michaels. But we love to see your work. And so I would encourage you to please share with us when you get a chance. And if you like this class, let Michaels know you enjoyed classes like this. Okay, guys? Awesome. I'm so glad. All of you are saying this is so wonderful. So that makes me very, very happy. All right, Allie, back to you.
Amazing. Well, just as a reminder that this class is recorded and that you can go and watch the recording. I believe they've left that information in the chat. So you can follow back up and rewatch it to your heart's content.
And like a little bun cover.
It is. Right? It's a little doll hat.
It's very cute.
And thank you everybody so much for joining us at another Michael's Community Classroom. We hope you had a great time today and we hope to see you back with us again soon.
Bye guys.
Bye everyone.